The people of this country voted to leave the European Union on the 23rd of June 2016. How far have we come in realising our dream of a return to our sovereignty, together with our independence from the EU's bureaucracy? I ask this question whilst bearing in mind the noises from various people in Westminster advising that our Parliament is not preparing for Brexit. The UK government has now included a transition agreement, which had never previously been mentioned before in the procedures for our exit. Presumably this was included because of the questionable delay in triggering Article 50, and this agreement will come into force after Brexit Day on the 29th of March 2019. It will effectively deep freeze the UK's membership of the single market and customs union for about 2 years, affording British people and the businesses and the government valuable time to prepare for exit. So let's have a look at migration. Having included this transition agreement into the mix, the European Union will demand that EU citizens arriving in the UK before 2021 be allowed to live and work in the UK indefinitely as the price for the Brexit transition period. EU freedom of movement rules could continue to apply in Britain for up to 2 years after Brexit if our negotiators cave in to fresh demands. People arriving in the UK would benefit from the same protected status as EU citizens currently living in Britain. Yet the UK will lose voting rights in the UK Parliament, in the EU Parliament even, during the transition period, and will no longer participate or nominate or elect members of the EU institutions. Now, ECJ and EU law will continue to apply during the transition. Donald Tusk has already said that this should include new EU laws passed. This transition agreement, deep freezing the UK's membership of the single market and customs union for about 2 years, will afford British businesses and the government this extra valuable time to prepare for exit, with the UK remaining part of the single market and the customs union, and we will continue to pay into the EU budget. Last December, the UK and the European Commission agreed that EU citizens living in Britain before the cut-off period of the 29th of March 2019 would have their residency rights protected after Brexit. So let's have a look at these citizens' rights. The cut-off date for EU citizens to be covered by the withdrawal agreement will be Brexit Day. This is a win for the EU. The UK courts must continue to have due regard to the relevant decisions of the European Court of Justice on matters of EU law concerning citizens' rights. And yet again, this is a win for the EU because the ECJ will continue to have influence over British courts. The withdrawal agreement will establish a mechanism which will enable British courts to ask the ECJ, if relevant, the legal precedents, which they still exist, for clarification on points of EU law. Now, this mechanism should last for litigation brought within 8 years from Brexit Day. EU citizens living in Britain can be joined by family members, including unborn children and partners in a durable relationship in the UK. Another win for the EU. All Brexiteers should now stand united in common cause. We want the 29th of March 2019 to mark the end of a difficult chapter. We do not want a transition period to apply to anything other than trade. We want our sovereignty back, and we want our fishing waters back. We want to write our own laws and no longer be under the jurisdiction of the European Courts of Justice. And we want an end to free movement of people without causing distress or injury. We the people must now take back control. Thank you.